So today we'll take up the last of Newton's three laws. We are looking at the third law of Newton, which is used in all sorts of non-scientific situations as well. It's probably one of the most famous of Newton's statements, the statement that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. We often use that when we retaliate violently against another person's actions to us and justify it using Newton's third law. But obviously in physics, we don't mean it in exactly the same way as people use it in social situations. So how is Newton's third law usually explained in school? And this was what was told to me. Imagine a situation where you have a solid wall and you are pushing against the wall. So this is a situation that is given to almost all school going children, somewhere in the middle school or a little younger than that. That you push against this wall, you're applying a certain amount of force, this force F1. And the argument that is given is that the wall pushes back on you with the same amount of force, but in the opposite direction. And that's the reason why the wall does not move. Very good. Therefore, the force F1 is equal to the negative of force F2. So that's just because I choose this as the positive x-axis. This is plus and this direction is minus. So from that I say all forces acting towards the right are positive, all acting to the left are negative. So we understand this. Or we can say in terms of magnitude, force of F1 is equal to force of F2 and they act in opposite directions. Very nice, compact, simple, everyday example to argue third law. But I had a problem when I first came across this in school, and I'm sure several of you would also see it if you think about it a little bit. This situation depends on the fact that at the point of applying this force, the situation is of static equilibrium. That is, sigma f is equal to 0. There is an equilibrium of these of forces that are acting, and therefore there is no motion. Okay, great. But I had this problem that if someone were to push against a door, right, and we obviously do this regularly. So there is a doorway and there is a door. Okay, and you are pushing against that. You are applying a certain amount of a force on the door. And the door obviously opens. I'm just putting some black there to show that it's a different something on the other side, whatever. Okay, so my question in this was, well, the door opens, which means the amount of force that you applied on the door is not equal to the amount of force that the door is applying on you. And why did I say that? I said that because this is clearly a situation of non-equilibrium. There is an acceleration on the door. So the issue was third law, therefore, is not a law because it is subjective. It is true only in situations of static equilibrium, maybe also dynamic equilibrium, but non-equilibrium systems, that is situations in which there is an acceleration, third law is not applicable. So then it should not be called a law at all. That was my contention to my teachers. Okay. But then they say that that is not so. Otherwise, we would not be studying it as a law. But they couldn't give me a reasoning or another situation to understand how come it would be applicable in all situations. And I simply argued that if that were the case, that the third law is a law, then there would be no openable doors in the universe. You cannot open any door in the universe because whenever you apply a force, an equal and opposite force will be applied according to Newton's third law, and therefore no doors will ever open. And that's
so according to that law, you can't open anything.
You can't open. That's what I mean by saying no doors, in the sense that nothing will work in this universe. Okay, so seems like there is a contradiction between the third law and the first two laws.
It's
Okay,
like
the
you
law
can't
of
move
inertia.
anything in the universe, kind of.
Nothing would move in the universe.
Not even a ball.
Yeah. Okay, but
That's not
obviously,
the case.
I have corrected my view upon that, and I realized that I was arguing the wrong argument or barking up the wrong tree. But what did I realize that told me that that was not the case, and Newton's third law is a law that we have to figure out together. So obviously I'm tricking you. I'm just passing on my lack of understanding at that stage to you people and putting it in such a way that it looks like, ye to theek hai. What he's saying is true. But then obviously it is not so. Doors open and we still call the third law as a law. So how to understand this in such a way that we neither break Newton's heart and there are openable doors in this universe. So now I leave it open for you people to bring up the situation.